Guys, talking to you today about the active warm-up. Again, when warming up, it's important to understand what you're preparing for. I think there's obviously lots of basics that we need to hit, but think of the way that your muscle is contracting, flexing, moving, tensing. There's several different ways the muscles are being used, especially per sport, per position, and per specific function and motion. So kind of compiling a lot of that up. General rule of thumb, obviously, though, hit some type of manual therapy, hit some type of rolling out, foam rolling, break down some of your old scar tissue, lactic acid, maybe some minor inflammation. In other words, prepare your muscles to be stretched. And then get to this more active side of the warm-up and start heating the muscle, start waking the muscle up, get the blood flow and so forth. So first, just start with the basic jog. Don't overdo this, and make sure your jog and your technique is not sloppy. A lot of people, when they jog, they tend to heel strike. It's almost as if, like, why are you jogging? You know, for me, jogging still has a purpose during my warm-up. It just kind of wakes me up, kind of allows me to feel like I'm bumping out some of the kinks and some of the soreness, just kind of getting that blood flow, getting that comfortable feeling with the rest of my warm-up. So again, I'm going to stay on the ball on my feet. I'm going to work still on my opposite hand, opposite leg, good posture. I'm just going to do about 20-yard increments. So in this, you can go about 20 yards and do it times 2, maybe go about 40 yards. So there and back, so just a standard jog. Nice and easy. Break it down a little bit and just come back. Again, it's more of a light sprint. Call it a light sprint, don't call it a jog. You know, that's the way I think of it is, I'm gonna work on my sprinting form almost in a dumbed down or not as ramped up tempo or effort. Okay, so next, same thing again, we're warming up here. Stay light on your feet on the lateral shuffle now. Again, same thing, just nice and easy. Getting the muscles to move and tense up, but at the same time not putting them through something too rigorous too quick, because we don't get hurt during our warm-up. And you see that kind of often is people are getting injured all the time during their warm-ups because they don't gradually kind of ramp through it. They just kind of go straight into it, kind of really hardcore. And so I'm a firm believer in kind of ramping your way up through your warm-up to prepare you for that day. So again, now lateral shuffle, same thing. Just gonna go kind of basic here. Again, you can go about 20-yard increments, but let the arms flow, let the body stay more upright. You're not doing a power shuffle and staying low and trying to go fast. You're just trying to wake up your whole kinetic chain and, again, prepare it for the rest of the movement of the day. So next, kind of go into a karaoke. Again, don't try to do this about, you know, at a high intensity level. Make sure you're staying within your control and just working on turning the trunk, kind of waking up the center of your body a little bit more. Keep the shoulders kind of still and facing forward as the trunk turns and rotates. Yes, the arms are going to dangle out from you and rotate, but again, the focus here is getting the pelvis to rotate and the trunk to rotate as well. Making sure you're going behind and then back out in front to help kind of emphasize that with the footwork. Next motion here would be a standard A-skip. Again, I like A-skips for a variety of reasons. Functionally throughout the body, it does a lot, but I like what it can do for sprint technique, in strength and response and reflex. So again, on this one, think of skipping down the street like you would when you're a kid. Okay, so that's the pattern, that's the skipping pattern. And now we're just adding the high knee and the opposite arm to it. So we're striking on the ball of our foot only. We're not landing flat on our foot or on our heel with the strike. We're landing right underneath our hips and driving the opposite leg, opposite arm up. So we're in that skipping pattern. Again, going down the street, kind of skipping, just getting the knee up. So again, coming back at you this way. Good posture. My hips and shoulders are going forward. I'm not hunched over. I'm not staring at the ground, I'm looking ahead. And I'm working that opposite hand, opposite leg, okay? Next on the warm-up strategy, I like to go with the high knee. Again, on the high knee, nothing crazy here in terms of effort level and intensity, but again, good repetition, good posture, allowing the hip and shoulder to move and function at a high rate. So again, some of the things you'll commonly see done wrong is you'll see arch back really hyperextended low backs through this movement. So make sure that you have good posture, good core, sitting a little bit more upright, and then pumping the arms and legs equally as fast. Something you'll also see is kids will move their legs fast and their arms slow. Okay, so let's make sure we're working together with the upper and lower half, driving up and back, and coming back. And again, 2 20-yard increments is fine. Again, try to get lots of strides in, not necessarily a long stride, so short, quick strides that are driving down into the ground, going opposite hand, opposite leg. Now as we kind of move past that, we're into more of kind of like a movement stretch series. With this, we're going to start with high kicks first. High kicks just going opposite hand, opposite leg. Nice and easy. Again, you're not kicking 40-yard field goals and trying to jump and tear your hamstring. Just trying to wake it up, and again, getting good separation between the attachment points there. So don't try to come up on your tippy toe too much. Don't make it about reaching your upper body. Make sure your leg stays locked out. And go straight forward. Don't kick across body either. Make sure you're keeping straight forward. Yeah, use the other opposite arm to hold balance, but don't make it about reaching for your toes as much as you think about reaching your leg up or raising it. Next is going to be the quad walk. On the quad walk, lots of things going on here, good balance. Obviously, we're trying to open up the front side of our hip while stabilizing the outside of the opposite leg. So very good drill here for the warm-up. Going to grab your opposite arm here, tilt into the front side, pulling back on the back side here in the arm, but then stabilizing on the outside leg that's straight. And coming down to a good balanced position, taking a couple steps. And grabbing the opposite one, coming right back through it. And again, making sure you stay balanced. You'll see a lot of kids kind of falling off before they can even complete the stretch. So make sure you got good orientation first before you lean. A lot of people try to combine the two movements really rapidly, and they don't have their balance achieved. So make sure you find balance on one leg first, then pull back on the quad and get that good reach. Kind of combining a lot of movements into one. Again, about 5 to 10 on each side. You can break it into yardage, or you can just do reps on each side. Next one, going with a lunge and a twist. On this one, got to make sure that we stride out the right width. A lot of guys on lunging either undercut it or overcut it. So finding that ideal position to where your knee is a little bit more lined up with your ankle, and you can get into both hips descend down. You see a lot of people here or arching their back through. So being in a good lunging position will help relieve the stress that the lower back will take on in a poor lunge. So let's make sure we got a good lunge position. Find it. Twist both ways. Couple of steps. Again, finding it again. Turning the jump. Again, not just turning the arms. Okay? Making sure that we actually turn the center of our body on each stride. You'll see a lot of kids try to go really fast here, just nice and slow, get the trunk to turn. Following that, I like to go with the reverse lunge with the reach. Tough movement for a lot of people, especially those that have poor anterior core strength, and again, poor hip range of motion and mobility. But again, this is a concept and reason why we implement it into our pre-warm-up stretch. So again, on this one, stepping back, finding that perfect lunge position, then raising the arms up overhead. Again, kind of finding that tilt, but again, without trying to arch too much, and a couple of steps, and then going back into it again. In good position, make it about the front side of your hip opening up, and anterior core stability. Following that movement, a side-to-side lunge works great as well. Again, on this though, you see a lot of people working into their knee. They're not working onto the inside of their hip, and they're not laterally lunging well. So that's something you commonly see with lateral lunges, is that they're working more into their knee as opposed to in their hips. So you should see a really good hinging pattern here on the opposite side. Go to the other side, then take a couple of steps. Feel that same motion. Again, try not to bounce too much. Hold it, deep breathe. Hold it, deep breathe. Then a couple of steps. Again, make sure the back leg is not coming off. Make sure it's locked down, the foot is flat. And again, you can do 5 to 10 each side or do certain yardage, okay? But that pretty much wraps up the pre-movements that will allow us to kind of finish up the active warm-up. Following that, though, it's important to introduce kind of dynamic movements and banded movements, arm care movements, jumps, postural drills, mobility and stability drills that properly prepare you for throwing, hitting, sprinting, any dynamic movements you may implement after that. But that again was the active warm-up. Make sure you're using it properly.